good morning. Welcome to Senior Insights. My name is Cynthia, and today we're going to have coffee together. Isn't this a cute mug? Live life in full bloom. This is a Dollar Tree special. One of my impulse spends a couple of weeks ago. It's really dangerous for me to go out, to leave my house, because I do tend to spend money. But I'm going to tell you what my day was like yesterday. I went out on a lunch date with my ex-boyfriend. Did that pique your interest? I'm going to ask you to take a moment and consider hitting the like button now at the beginning of the video. The reason that I'm asking that is I know that people don't watch until the end. I'm not asking you to like it if you don't like it, but if you think you'd like it, please hit the like button now, because sometimes the videos flip right over to the next one and you don't have a chance, or you're still thinking about it, or whatever. So I would appreciate that. That helps me a lot. Anyway, after my husband passed away, I had a really difficult time adjusting. I felt lonely. I felt miserable. I was really depressed. And so I got online and was looking for a man. Well, surprisingly, there were a few that I actually liked and that I did consider meeting. But this one gentleman really kind of stood out, and I think that what attracted me to him was the fact that in his description he described how he had two daughters, that looks didn't mean anything to him, which was, I thought that said a lot, especially since I was concerned about the way I looked and how could somebody that's 66 years old find someone else. And so we got together, we dated, and we became boyfriend and girlfriend. How do you like that? I mean, I'm 76 years old and I'm talking about having a boyfriend. Well, it was really very exciting at first. At first, it was like having an adolescent romance. It was really a lot of fun. We did a lot of things together, and I was working at the time, so sometimes I would stay at his house. He'd come here. So it was kind of a nice arrangement. And then after a while, I used to say to him, why don't you just move in here? Because, of course, I wasn't willing to move anyplace. And he said, I am not moving ever again. So we had this understanding that we were not interested in getting married. We just wanted to be good friends. And so that we were for, about 9 years. The interesting thing is that before I went online looking to see if there was anyone out there, I made a list of things that I was not willing to compromise on. And it was quite a few things. And I'm not going to go into them, because if somebody has these things on their own list, I would feel, I don't want anyone to think that I'm judging anybody. But anyway, I had this long list. There was about 10 things on it. And when I met him, he checked off every single one of those boxes. Now, go figure. If he checked off every single one of those things to avoid, why would one get involved with somebody like that? Because I knew that those were issues that would bother me. But anyway, we went on. We had some nice times. We went to Jamaica. He used to like to go to Jamaica. He had been there. I guess he had gone like 40 years in a row. So we went to Jamaica. We went to Aruba. He participated in all my family gatherings, and I participated in his Christmas celebration. His family lives further away, so I would go and spend Christmas with him so that he could see his daughters and his sisters and stuff. And then I started to realize, all those things that were on my list I started to notice. I had tons of other things going on in my life, though. I had parents who were elderly. We had placed my father in an assisted living. My mother was aging pretty rapidly. I had an aunt and uncle, my favorite aunt and uncle. My aunt passed away, then I had to take care of him. I'd have to travel 5 hours one way every week and then 5 hours back to get home. And, I was old. And it was starting to get to me. My mother died, my father died. Then my boyfriend got cancer of the tongue. Well, guess what? My husband, many, many years ago, had cancer of the tongue. Now, what are the odds of that happening? But it brought back, like, all those feelings that I had then. And what happened was I brought him to his radiation and his chemotherapy sessions, which may increase my anxiety because I had a leased car and I had to put all this mileage on my car. But I was treated at the hospital as if I was his wife. I was his healthcare proxy, and he would hand over. You're so lucky to have such a good wife. I'm saying I am not his wife. Probably they thought because I have never taken my wedding ring off, even when I was with him. And I asked him if it bothered him, and he said, no, that tells me that you really loved your husband, and that's a good thing. So anyway, he was sick, he was non-compliant, and he was very sick with the same thing my husband had, and I was sending him to the emergency room because he was passing out. He had a feeding tube, he didn't feed himself, and on and on and on. It was increasing my anxiety level like off the charts. I had a knee replacement, a hip replacement. He fell, and it was way too much for me. And so I started thinking, I have got to do something to take care of myself. I cannot be taking care of the whole world. I can't take care of my parents, my uncle, my boyfriend. I need to take care of myself. So I finally had a chat with him and told him that it really wasn't working. And so he was heartbroken. And I felt bad too, because he was a part of my life for 9 years. But I don't even know why I'm telling you this. I just got started. We decided to remain friends because he has nobody up here. And of course, I feel sorry for him. He participated in all my family activities. He has nothing, so he spends all his holidays alone and stuff. So basically, I'm not a mean person, and I didn't want him to suffer, but I just could not deal with him anymore. I just couldn't do it. It was killing me is what it was doing. Instead of loving me, it was killing me. So we went out to lunch yesterday. It's probably the third time we've gone out to lunch since we've been apart. And he was describing something to me about a show that we used to watch. And I said, I don't even remember that show. We haven't been together in a long time. And I said, how long is it? And he says, it's a year and a half today. I said, oh, okay. He remembers everything. Now, would you remember a year and a half today? I surely didn't. But he said it like with not even a hesitation. He said, yeah, it was a year and a half ago today. So anyway, we went to lunch. We went to an Italian restaurant. The meal was great. He did several of the things that were on my list. Learned to be disliked, the Japanese phenomena. And one thing that I learned about it was way too deep for me. I was going to bring it to this channel, but I couldn't understand a lot of it. I could understand it when I was reading it, but I couldn't mix it all together so that I could do a coherent presentation, because it was really very in-depth and very complicated. But one thing that I got out of that is that each and every one of us are responsible for our own tasks. And his task is to worry about his car or not worry about it. He chooses not to worry about it. My task has nothing to do with his task. And it's not my task to worry about it. So it's funny because that's one thing that I learned just this week reading that book. Anyway, the other interesting thing that I learned from that video is that in a relationship, when things start to bother you, or you start to become irritated and stuff, that those things that you're irritated about or that you're bothered were the same things that you fell in love with in the beginning. Now, maybe another way of explaining is the person is exactly the same. Profound. I'm sorry, I just blabbed on and on and on, but I thought, I want you to know as much as you can about me, and I like to talk to my friends and share things with them. So, thank you for joining me for coffee, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I would request that you like it and consider subscribing, and definitely read a comment. Have any of you been in a relationship? Have you ever had a boyfriend or a girlfriend at an elderly age? How did it work out? Are you a widow or a widower and thinking that might be a route you want to take? One thing I can tell you is you can never replace what you had. So just remember that. Anyway, remember, you're a walking, talking miracle. You're awesome. And thank you.